Hi, sweet friends. I'm Emma Watterson, hostess of Root Tips to Wingtips Health Podcast, where you'll learn recipes and health tips to stay balanced and have a healthy mind, body, and soul. I'm a certified health coach and specialize in NLP, hypnotherapy, energy work, and healing. Each week, we will dive into health topics to discuss ideal mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. Let's jump in.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Root Tips to Wingtips Health Coaching Podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Angela Brooks. Hey, Angela, how are you today?
I'm great, Emma. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's so great to catch up with you.
Thank you so much. It's so great to catch up with you. I'm really grateful that you invited me to join you today. Thank you.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. So let's tell our audience a little bit about how we met.
Wonderful. Yeah, let's do it. From what I remember, it was maybe 2018 or so. I think early part of the year, around the new year. Right now when we're recording, it's also around the new year. So we welcomed in a new one. So it's already been, almost 5 years or 5 years? Oh my gosh, 5 years. So we were working together as part of a group coaching. I remember joining a lady named Rachel. She was a coach to me based on, me meeting her through a different group coaching program. And then she offered her own coaching program. And when I joined, you must have been on the same path and joined. And then I remember we got connected, actually paired up together for a exercise that she called Swab the Decks. And so really that's how we met. Can't believe it's been 5 years.
I know. It seems so long and yet so short all at the same time.
Oh, yes, I know. It's amazing how time flies.
Well, tell us a little bit about what swabbing the decks is.
Sure. So swabbing the decks, I hadn't really heard of it before that training, our coaching, program. So the way that Rachel had shared it, it's a chance to kind of cleanse yourself of, things that you want to let go of or release. It can be, it's just a thought and speaking process. It's not necessarily a physical process of releasing or letting go, but a thought or, emotional process that you do with someone. And while you're holding space for me to be verbalizing what I want to release, then, there's a couple questions that we ask each other as part of the exercise. And the first question is, what are you grateful for? And then I wait and hold space for you while you answer. Then you ask you ask me what, or I ask you, what are you, I always forget the second one. What do you want to brag about? This is such an important question, right? What do you want to brag about? And then I stay silent while you, hold space for you while you answer. And then the third question is, what are you manifesting? Which is just, again, so important, to kind of replacing what you've released. When you release it, I sort of forgot to mention the part where, some examples are, I'm releasing negativity or self-doubt, criticism, or confusion. It can be anything, right? And then we always say, I'm releasing this and I'm bringing in this. So then I'm bringing in joy and light and love, and I'm bringing in energy, and, it can be anything that the person feels at the time. So then after we have that releasing session, then we do the 3 questions. And then at the end, we have this beautiful saying, and then we say it together. And we say, "Are you ready?" And I say yes. And then we say, "And
And
so
so it
it is
is an
an
even
even
better.
better." And then we laugh and we go, "Yay!" Because we're so proud of ourselves, it's just a great, great way to connect, and it's very quick. You and I are 5 years in working this and still doing it, and it's funny because I haven't really kept in touch with the other folks that were in the group, but it's so lovely that we can keep in touch, and we can do that each week, and doing it each week really is cleansing, and really is like a breath of fresh air. I always feel so much better after we've talked, and even though it's very short, we maybe 5 minutes, at the most. Sometimes like you're in a hurry or I'm in a hurry, and then we do it fast, but more often than not, we just hold the space for each other. And I think that's what's, so important, in doing that connection, and giving people time to kind of like figure out, what is it today I'm releasing, what is it I'm bringing in? And then what am I grateful for? What am I bragging about? And what am I manifesting? So it's just a great practice. And I recommend it to all your listeners because, if you can find a buddy, a lot of times it's maybe an accountability partner that, people are working with, or a coach, but it's a nice way to maybe start the conversation. So you kind of like release this stuff, maybe you have some, built up, anxiety or, stress or something. And it just, I don't know, just always calms me down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you're talking about. It's such a great way to connect each week. And
Yeah.
it's a nice way to kind of cleanse our palate. That it's a nice way to, so we always talk every Thursday evening, and like you said, it doesn't have to be a super long conversation. 5 or 10 minutes, we're able to catch up briefly, kind of release the things that have been really holding us back that we've accumulated during the week. And it's a nice way to kind of set the tone for the rest of the week and going into the weekend, and getting us ready for just kind of releasing those things that are holding us back. And the term swabbing the decks, I mean, it's an old term. I mean, it comes from, if you think about like a ship or a boat, I mean, that's where you're swabbing the decks. You're cleaning, you're cleansing. Literally, you're wiping down and getting rid of things, dust and dirt and grime and things that have been really, that can really weight down a boat. And so when you get things cleaned and organized and kind of resetting your sacred vessel, your mind, it really gives you the opportunity to kind of clear out those cobwebs and bring a sense of peace and joy to my life. And it's something I look forward to doing every week with you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And I love that you said, getting ready for the weekend, because I do feel like our Thursday night really ushers in my Friday, which, who doesn't love a Friday, right? Even if you're working and have to work, I know it's something about Friday, right? And, like you said, really just, cleansing and kind of resetting, I love that part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a nice way to hold space for one another too. And
Yeah.
in today's society, thankfully, it's becoming more acceptable to have someone hold space for you. And holding space for someone really is just giving them a safe area or space where they can actually kind of let down their walls and talk about like real things and really real things that are going on in their lives, rather than, putting on your smile and faking, like to say, fake it till you make it. And sometimes, yes, you have to do that, but it's a nice way for us to connect each week and really clear our minds and be able to move forward and really, I love the three questions at the end. It's reminding us, okay, what are you grateful for? What happened this week that, or even that day? What happened in the last hour? What happened to you that week? Or what are you thankful for and grateful for in general? And when you're grateful, that kind of signals to the universe, hey, I'm not just taking my life and things around me for granted. I'm just really grateful and thankful and appreciative of my life. And that's such a good reminder. And then, what are you bragging about? And I and in our society, it's kind of frowned upon to brag about something. And
Yeah.
it really gives us the opportunity to say, hey, I really recognize yourself. So it's, for me, it was really, when I heard the word brag, I'm like, oh no, I can't brag about myself. I can't brag about anything. Though I look at it more, okay, what am I recognizing that I did this week or today, or um, in the last hour? What am I recognizing in myself that I've accomplished this
Right.
week? And again, that signals to the universe, hey, I'm actually, like, I'm you're recognizing and celebrating something that about yourself. I think it relates back to that thankfulness and gratefulness. Is, hey, I did some hard things this week. I
Yeah.
overcame something. I did something that I was putting off. I
Right.
it's it's so nice to be able to have that safe space in order to recognize and be grateful for what I've accomplished.
Right. Absolutely. And I think, not to interrupt you, but I do think we as women especially, take it for granted, how much we're really doing. Like we just keep doing and doing and doing, right? Whether it's for our families, our work, or, you know, um, whomever, friends, and and sometimes, we always are putting ourselves, at the end of that list, and being able to recognize those accomplishments, like you said, and being able to feel comfortable to share one, at least one, with someone each week. I mean, we get to feel seen and heard, and I think that that's so critical, like you said, in today's world where it's just chaos sometimes. Just rush, rush, rush. We're always, running out of time. It just, it's nice to take that moment and be present, and and you know recognize for ourselves, you know what we are proud of in ourselves.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that too. And especially as women and women in business, it can also, you want to have a sense of confidence, yes, but you don't want to come across as arrogant.
Right.
And so, again, I'm glad that we do have this space to recognize each other and be able to that hold, yes, each other accountable. um, though again, it is a chance to recognize, yes, we overcame something, we did something that we maybe didn't want to do that week.
Yeah.
And or we recognize that we put our oxygen mask on first for once.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's a really hard one for me. So
Me
I heard,
too.
I was listening to a podcast one time and it was saying, they always say when you're on the plane, you got to put your oxygen mask on first because when you're dead, it's really hard to help other people. And I know that's kind of morbid, but it's so funny because, yeah, of course,
True.
like if you look at it from that perspective, of course it's hard to help other people if you're lifeless. So
Exactly.
put your oxygen mask on first, and then you can help everybody else with theirs.
Right.
Um,
And even
and
though I know that saying, and I've heard it before, I do feel like, hearing it, or just the way it comes across, it makes it feel selfish, but it's not selfish because, obviously, yeah, how can you help these other people if you can't help yourself,
right.
and, you know, I just want to point out how grateful I am that you're, um, usually the one who initiates the conversation for us, on Thursday evenings, because without that, you know, thinking of us, we might not connect each week, but you are so good at, keeping that on the calendar, um, you know, giving me a call. I mean, we used to text and, you'd say like something like, are you ready? Are you ready to swab the decks? And sometimes I might miss that text, but when now we just cut to the chase and we're like, let's just call, because we have a set time, 7 o'clock in the evening on Thursdays. And, I'm just like mostly just at that point in my day, just sitting down to like maybe, you know, think about dinner or think about my evening. Usually I've wound down a bit from work, by that time, and so it's like a perfect moment, for us to do that call. And sometimes when we were doing um the other, I guess, was it a Tuesday or Monday night, or
Yeah,
I
it
think
was Monday
it
night.
was, for a while it was a Monday. It and we had to reschedule sometimes. I feel like with the Thursday, we're never rescheduling. We're like always Johnny on the spot. So, and there for each other, right? So I just really appreciate and am grateful for you, being the one to initiate, because I think that's really the connection too, having someone who is, willing to take the lead like you do, and, make that call and, keep us accountable, but also keep us connected. That's really, really key and important. And, you know, I, I just really appreciate that. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, again, I absolutely love connecting each week. And what's funny is like we've never met in person. We've always
Right?
talked on the phone. We
It's so
live in the
true.
same state and we've never met
We
in
live in the
person.
same state. It's so funny. But we're about what, 4 hours from each other, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, driving time. Yeah. And yeah, we've never met.
But I think it's so great that we've held this up for 5 years now, and it's so awesome. And I'm thank you for you too. I'm glad that you've been flexible and even when because we used to do it at 8:30 at night, and that was
Oh,
my
yeah.
son's
Oh,
bedtime, and
yes.
so I would often be putting him to bed or getting him ready for bed, and then he'd always time at the end, and
Oh my gosh.
so it
Liam,
is an
so cute.
even better, and he just got the biggest kick out of that every week.
I loved him joining in on that. He was so cute, and I would forget that he was right there, and then when he joined in at the end, I was like, oh, the little cutie, Liam. And he and so much what, and so it is, and even better. He was adorable, adorable.
Well, I'm so glad that it's thank you for allowing him to be in that space too.
Of
It's been
course.
so fun to be able to share that with him. Um, my my mom, is very spiritual and introduced me to kind of the spiritual world when I was very young. And so it's so nice to be able to pass that down to Liam as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when they're young, they hear everything, see everything, they're so observant, and hopefully those lessons and teachings, he can um continue in his life, or incorporate into his life as he grows up. That's wonderful.
Yes.
So
And
happy
then,
and grateful. Yes.
yes. And then that last question that um, that we ask is, what are we manifesting?
Oh,
And
yes.
again, it is a gives us a chance to kind of dream bigger.
Hmm.
And what do we really want? What do we need? What do we want to put in our path for this week? It's a really quick chance for us to again chat with the universe and say, hey universe, this is what I really want to have in my life. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And um and it's not being needy. It's You're not needy or greedy. It's just a chance to really think about, hey, what do I really want to accomplish either this week or this year? Just kind of setting our intentions. And again, it gives us that space, a safe space for to do so, and to have that accountability for that week too. It's, hey,
Yeah.
I'm manifesting whatever I'm manifesting that week. It's like, okay, well, and the more specific you can be about things, the more likely you're going to attract those things to you.
Right.
So if you just say, hey, I want a car, well, are you going to get a hoopty, or are you going to get like a Mercedes? But the more specific you are, you're, hey, I want a red Ferrari that goes 180 and 0 to 180 in 2 seconds, or whatever it is. It's you're when you the more specific you are about something that you're manifesting, the more likely you're going to get exactly what you want. When people say, "Oh, hey, I want to get in shape for the new year," like
Yeah.
when they're setting resolutions, "Oh, I want to get in shape." Well, round is a shape. What 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 exactly do you mean when you say you want to get in shape? Oh, I want to be able to run a mile without stopping. Okay, well, that's a little more specific.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I want to do it. I want to do this by this date. When you attach a date to something,
Right.
that makes it so, one, you're more accountable, and two, you're taking steps on a daily basis to get to whatever goal that is. And if you
Right.
need support, if you need accountability, it's great to have that each week. And that's another thing I love about our conversation each week, is it really gives me the opportunity, one, to dream bigger, and two, to really hold myself more accountable
Right.
too. And
Right.
knowing that I have a safe space to get really clear on, hey, what exactly do I want to be manifesting in my life?
Right. I think that is so important. All the points that you've shared. It's you know, they often say goals are SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, something, 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 timely. I'm sorry,
Achievable.
timely. I forget the R.
Realistic.
Realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we sometimes, yeah, forget uh, to make it specific, right? To make it something that you know is achievable, realistic, attainable. I feel like, maybe the dream big part happens, but, then, how do we even measure we accomplished it, so that we can, congratulate ourselves when we, are getting closer as we were on the journey, and keep ourselves motivated, there has to be something more than just round, or I want to be in good shape. I love that. I love round. I love that. I mean, that's gonna have me laughing all day. So I think, it's really important that, when we are manifesting that we are specific and, part of the, successful, being successful is to have that measurement, right? And holding us up and saying, yeah, I did this, right? I did this. I bragged that I did this. And then I brag, or, I'm, manifesting this. We'll put it in the present tense. I'm manifesting this. Um, for next week or for this, quarter or, whatever length that goal, needs. Um, so I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and that's so awesome. I'm glad you mentioned SMART goals too, and it's neat when you can make SMART goals not only for your conscious mind but for your subconscious or unconscious mind. It
Right.
really helps when those two are in alignment with one another. Then when everybody's on the same page, then you're more likely to achieve what you want. Because if
Right.
your conscious mind is like, hey, I want a red Ferrari, and your unconscious mind is like, I don't care about the car kind as much. I just want it to be simple, but I want to be specific about and that I want to get from point A to point B, and this is how I'm going to get there. When you're can align those two, then um, yeah, your conscious mind is definitely more on the I need to be very specific about this is what I want. And then your unconscious mind, you can think about it as a really smart kindergartner because they just want things to be simple.
Yeah. I love that.
And so you like breaking it down that way, then you're more likely to get your conscious and unconscious mind on the same page. And when you have that alignment, then again manifesting, then you're really signaling to the universe, hey, I want specifically this, but in simplified terms this. And you're in alignment, and you're whatever your mind is focused on, you're going to see that more of, like your mind is going to pick more up on that.
Right. And I think that too is where that gratitude comes in. I mean, all these things work together, right? In the swabbing the decks, and we do it in a specific order, and but they all work together in that, the gratitude is really, soul filling, you're filling up your unconscious and your soul with that. I'm so happy and grateful now that I, blah, 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 right? And then it turns into the bragging about something, and then it turns into the manifesting the next thing, or the manifesting the thing that you're focused on. And it's just so beautiful how they all work together, and that alignment is so critical. It's hard to always hustle, or be hustling, for the next goal or the next thing. I don't even really like that word, hustling. People use it as a, like, let's get going, let's do this or whatever. But I don't know. I just don't really love it. Because I feel like there's this implication or inference of some kind of resistance. Like you have to hustle against something. You have, yeah, and when we're doing our swab the decks and, and giving voice and thought to what's important to us, in terms of soul filling, gratitude, you know um, bragging and accomplishment, manifesting and achievement. It's hopefully, and for me it comes from a place that's not about that, you know goals and hustling and resistance and getting it done. It's more coming from that intuition, right? Like you mentioned, the spiritual, right? And it's more coming from that soul, voice or message, or you know giving ourselves space to hear that when it is maybe a chaotic or rushful. I don't know if I just made that up. A rushing day, like you're rushing through things, or you're rushing to get somewhere, and then we take this time to dedicate to hearing that softer inner voice.
And I'm so glad you said that too, because it really gives me an opportunity to be fully present.
Oh yes, Definitely.
for that 5 to 10 minutes. And it really gives me a chance to really give to really kind of figure out, okay, hey, and kind of sit not only with myself, but to be able to do the same for you, is to provide each other that space and that grace
Yeah.
to say, hey, like, this is what's, life is life. And there are, life can be very busy. And this gives us a chance to kind of slow down for just a couple minutes. I'm not stopping the universe to swab the decks. I'm just taking those 5 to 10 minutes that we have each week just to kind of set my intentions and really provide that space for each other to say, hey, recognize what went on that week or what didn't go on that week. And okay, this is what happened. Life happened. Okay, let's draw a line in the sand. Let's move forward. Time is always moving forward. And when we gives ourselves that opportunity to kind of look back and learn from history and really say, okay, here's what I want to do instead. Okay, I get to do something new this week. I'm gonna kind of start with a clean slate. Swab
Right.
the decks. Start over. Drawing a line in the sand. All these things that really give us the opportunity to redefine, hey, this is who I want to be. This is how I want to show up.
Right. Right. That's beautiful. Yeah. I think, that I call it a reset, I mean, it's just fabulous that even with everything going on, and as many things, we might be juggling or on our plate, you know, we just commit to making that 5 to 10 minutes happen, um, and it's only 5 to 10 minutes. I think I read somewhere you have 168 hours in a week, so, so it's 5 to 10 minutes of one of those 168 hours. So, I just want to encourage your listeners and of course us as well, putting on our own air masks first, you know, um, to make that time for ourselves. It's so crucial, like you're saying. It's so crucial to really re-energizing the rest of your week or your evening, um, and giving yourself that grace. I love that you said that.
Yeah, and I love that too. That and it's really hard. Another analogy too is it's really hard to fill someone else's cup when yours is empty.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And this swabbing the decks for me is another way to help me fill my cup up as well. And
Right.
like even I I have stuff come up for me now. I'm like, I think when I think of putting on my oxygen mask on or filling my cup up too, is I get kind of that, am I allowed to do that? Of course. Like I can't help other people if I can't fill other people's cups from an empty cup. I can't help other people if I'm struggling to breathe.
Right.
I can't focus on other people if I can't focus on myself first.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of times where our society comes in and it's like, oh, you put yourself last. Like you need to put everybody else first and everybody else. And I'm not saying you should go out there and throw elbows and jump to the front of the line at the detriment of everybody else. I'm just saying, hey, take a moment to recognize yourself and put on your oxygen mask, recharge. And I love what you talked about. This is a way for us to press the control alt delete in our life. Just kind of reboot and restart and say, okay, hey, this week happened and let's move forward and let's set our intentions for the rest of the week and the weekend and going into the next week and, hey, this is what I want to accomplish this week.
Yeah, you say it so beautifully. I love that. And, it's just, one kind of moment in time, and you can always, I love that when we do it again, like the next week, it's never the same, right? It's just never the same. It's, whatever that week's, either challenges, things we want to release, things we want to bring in, things we want to call into us, from the universe, and, the universe listening and responding to our messages and our voice. I think it's just so, exciting that it's never the same twice.
And I was just thinking back to one of our previous conversations is we get to the end and I'm like, ditto, what she said.
Exactly.
I want to release those things too. I want to manifest those things too. And I love that we're in tune with one another. And so when yeah, we like, almost like you'll finish what I'm thinking, like you'll say out loud, oh yeah, I want to release that too, or oh yeah, I want to do that too.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm always thinking that. And then maybe 2 weeks ago, when we were first working on our discussion that day, I wanted to say ditto, like ditto to everything you said, and then instead, it was funny because you ended up saying ditto. So it was so fun. And then I was like, I was going to say ditto.
Well, that's what's so fun too. I'm so glad that it it went from being a weekly assignment in a course or a coaching setting where oh gosh, I have to swab the decks this week, and it for me honestly it was never, oh gosh, I have to call Angela this week.
Oh my
but
gosh, no, never.
though I'm glad that it's evolved, and it's on my perma calendar every Thursday night at 7 o'clock, whether I'm in a different time zone or not. Like it really gives me the opportunity to say, oh yeah, let's swab the decks this week. And it's just, again, that really nice something I look forward to every week, and something that
Me too.
we can really help each other and support each other, especially being women. And it's so nice to have that community. So thank you for being at the other end of the line when I call each week.
Absolutely. And thank you for calling each week.
Absolutely. Such a pleasure. Is there anything else that about swabbing the decks, or anything else that
I thought maybe we would do a swab the decks to kind of finish
let's
up,
do it. I think that's a great idea.
because maybe, it's not quite clear like how we do this and what it is exactly in terms of, we've talked so much about it, but, like maybe it's just good to kind of finish up with the swab the decks so people can kind of, share this with someone else when they want to, have a partner and, do a swab the decks of their own.
Absolutely. And I'll post the kind of the template of swabbing the decks
Oh yeah, that's
underneath this as well. So, all right, well, let's do it.
okay. All right, Emma, are you ready to swab the decks?
I am.
Okay, I am opening up a sacred space for you to clear your sacred vessel. What do you have?
I have that I am releasing any stress, any tension, any worry, fear, anxiety, anything that's really holding me back from this week. And I'm opening in and letting in peace, joy, organization. I'm letting in comfort, tranquility, love and light, and setting my intentions to be more fully present and to listen more carefully to my intuition. And I think that's it.
Beautiful. And what is one thing you are grateful for?
I am grateful for my amazing family and the time that we set aside for us to do this each week.
Beautiful. And what is one thing you'd like to brag about?
I am bragging that I've taken more time to do self-care. So taking a bath and reading and really making sure that I'm getting the proper nourishment that I need and recognizing that I need to put my oxygen mask on or filling up my cup first.
Beautiful. Wonderful. And what is one thing you are manifesting?
I am manifesting space, grace, organization, time management, and productivity.
Woo! Awesome. All right. Are you ready?
I am, and so it
It
is,
is
and even better.
better.
Yay!
Yay.
I love doing this.
I know, me too.
All right, Angela, are you ready to swab the decks?
I am.
I am opening up a sacred space for you to swab the decks of your sacred vessel. What do you have?
I have that I am releasing any stress, anxiety, self sabotage. I'm releasing procrastination, guilt, any negativity. I am embracing joy and love and light. I am embracing organization and productivity. I am releasing rushing and embracing time management and self-care. I think that's it.
Awesome. And what is something you are grateful for?
I am grateful for my loving and supportive family.
Awesome. And what is something you're bragging about?
I brag that I feel like somehow, and woohoo, I got a lot accomplished this week. And more specifically, I brag that I got an email from Evernote, um, and it said that I was in the top 1% of note creators. And I was like, I asked my husband, I was like, do you think that means like all Evernote users? And he was like, I think that's what it means. So I'm like, what? I feel so special.
That's huge. That's so awesome.
I was like, wow, that's crazy. He said, well, do you go back and review those notes? And I said, well, sometimes.
Awesome. And what is something you are manifesting?
I am manifesting organizing my life, specifically physical spaces such as my half bathroom cabinet this week, for better time management, productivity, and being able to actually find things easily and quickly and put them away easily and quickly.
Awesome. I love that. All right. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
And so it is an even better. Yay! Oh gosh, I love this. And I'm so glad that you are more specific with your what you want to manifest.
Right. I was like, here we are talking about our SMART goals. I better, be very specific about my manifesting. If the universe
Yes.
is listening, they can bring that forward to me,
Yes.
I'll come half the way, they come half the way.
I love that. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing this awesome space with me today.
Thank you,
And
Emma. Oh my gosh, this has been so fun.
I love this. And so thank you again for the last 5 years. And I hope that we can continue to do this each week. It's just so nice to have this time with you. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And yes, 5 years to 5 more.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode and sharing this space and time with me. I hope you got some great new insights, and if you did, please leave a review, add a comment, question, and/or suggestion, and share with a friend.